at the major news stories as captured by the major news portals in the country. In a bit, I will introduce you to my guest and the major stories that have made headlines on the front pages as well as the news portals. I'll be back after this break. So let's begin with the stories that have made headlines, beginning with citynewsroom.com. Chiefs endorse presidential aspirant. Asante urges chiefs to abstain from partisan politics. Citynewsroom.com. Nana Tuaso, you need 4 more years to do more. That's according to Ochehene. To the Daily Graphic. Resist endorsing aspirants. Asante cautions partisan chiefs. To the Chronicle. Nana has cleared his way for 4 more. Talensi chief. The Republic. Duakwa chief bans NDC MP from campaigning in constituency. The Ghanaian Observer. If your child is a beneficiary of free SHS, vote well on December 7th. Ochehene charges Ghanaians. The Daily Statesman. We are behind you. Ochehene endorses Akufo-Addo's 4 more to do more. ABC News. MPP government has performed better. Wasa Atubiase chief. The Informer. Varsity Dawn lambasts partisan chiefs, says they are losing relevance by endorsement of candidates. The Daybreak. Stop showing your political colours. Otumfuo warns chiefs again. To the second issue for discussion, which has got to do with candidates filing their nominations with regards to the parliamentary and presidential elections coming up in some 60 days. Citynewsroom.com. Nana Kunedu presents nomination forms. Ekweadonko submits nomination forms to EC for election 2020. City Newsroom. PPP flag bearer Bridget Jogbenuku submits nomination forms, wants filing fees slashed. Daily Graphic. Conduct fair elections. President charges EC after filing. Ghanaian Times. Former President Mahama, PPP flag bearer file nominations forms for 2020 polls. To the New Publisher. Nana storms EC with forms, says he would floor Mahama in clean elections. The Daily Statesman. Provide level playing field for all. Akufo-Addo charges EC as he files nomination for 4 more to do more. To the Custodian. Akufo-Addo files 4 more years, denounces cooked election results. That's according to the Custodian. And the final issue that we will discuss got to do with the Ejapa royalties deal and the initial public offering that has been suspended. Citynewsroom.com captures it. CSOs welcome suspension of Ejapa royalties IPO. Another story from citynewsroom.com. Ejapa IPO suspended as government awaits special prosecutors corruption risk assessment. The Business Analyst. Finance Ministry suspends Ejapa IPO pending special prosecutors corruption risk investigation. So I have in studio joining me to do the discussions Selom Adono is head of features and articles at City FM and City TV. Welcome, Selom.
Thank you, Luke.
It's also joined by Samuel Yafe. Samuel Yafe is the presidential correspondent, City FM and City TV. Welcome, Samuel.
Thank you very much, Duke.
Yeah, gentlemen. So we'll begin with the matter regarding the endorsement that has been given, or chiefs endorsing presidential aspirants in the course of the week. The Asante has had calls to urge chiefs to abstain from partisan politics. Other chiefs have endorsed the various candidates, from candidate Mahama to President Akufo-Addo. Article 276 of the Constitution bars chiefs from active partisan politics. Let me begin with you, Sammy. What would be your take on this issue?
Well, good evening, and good evening to viewers. First of all, this is not something new. We've had this practice since the inception of our Fourth Republican democracy, because when I started following politics, I saw chiefs endorse then President Kufuor. I also saw chiefs endorsing the late President John Evans Atta Mills, who was also an opposition leader, and had chiefs endorsing him when he became president. Similar situation, former President John Dramani Mahama, we saw a similar situation, and we are seeing the same thing now. So it looks as if every 4 years or every election year, you see these chiefs in our local areas openly endorsing one candidate or the other. So it's not something new. It's something that has been going on for a while now, even though the Constitution, as you said, Article 276 bars them from engaging in this. There has not been any proper enforcement to tell our chiefs that indeed what they are doing is alien to the Constitution or against the Constitution of this country. We've not had anybody come out to publicly condemn this practice of our chiefs endorsing presidential candidates or one way or the other. So it continues, and I'm not sure that we'll see an end to it anytime soon. But you also realize that, you know, the chiefs also vote. They have their own political parties they support. So if, let's say, candidate A or candidate B visits his community, you expect him that, you know, as a chief and someone who has a love for that particular political party, will obviously, you know, mention one way or the other or endorsing that particular candidate. So we should also look at that particular aspect of the endorsement from these chiefs. And there are some chiefs who have publicly said that, you know, they saw development in their area when this particular regime was in office, or this particular president was in office. For instance, the chief in the Bono area, Nana Kondo or so, if I got the name wrong, they should forgive me. You know, he publicly said that when John Mahama, former president, went to visit him, he said that indeed development came to his town when President Mahama was president of Ghana at that time. And so for him, they still owe him that loyalty and allegiance, and any day, anytime, he will ask his people to vote for Mr. Mahama. The same thing can be said of other chiefs. For instance, the Ochehini recently said that Nana Akufo-Addo has done well. The implementation of a number of policies which he says has transformed the lives of people in Ghana and within his community, you know, gives a way for him to also be given another 4 years to continue with what he is doing. But we see these things come up every time, and as I said earlier, there's nothing really we can do about it because the chiefs also vote. You know, I've heard arguments that in one way or the other we should review this particular clause or this article of the Constitution and take it out from the Constitution and allow our chiefs to be involved in politics. The others also say that chiefs hold very key and sensitive positions, and so their endorsement of a candidate or a political party in one way or the other, they will lose the respect the people have for them. So it's a two-way affair. I've had opportunities to follow candidates go to some villages and some communities, and there when you go, they will tell you that the people here belong to this particular political party, but for we as chiefs, we will bless you and wish you all the best, but we can't guarantee you our support in the coming election. All over, I've seen this all over the place. So I feel it's about time we review that particular article. I'm sure as lawyer is here, he will be an advocate for us to push to have this particular law review. So at least we know whether to allow our chiefs to involve themselves in active politics or stop this endorsement. That was when people say that endorsing a candidate does not mean you are engaged in active politics. Those who oppose this say that if they say a chief is engaging in active politics, then it means he's standing on a political platform and wearing a political party color and telling people that vote for this candidate or vote for this party. Or he sits in his palace, the president or the opposition leader comes to him, and because of the policies and programs that a president or a previous president brought some level of transformation in his community, and he says that, oh, you did this and this and this, and we wish that you come back to come and continue. Is that one active politics? So we should look at the two, endorsement and active politics. We should have a clear definition of the two.
Is that to say that it's about time that we
have a national debate on this matter?
Delineate what clearly capture the definition of what active partisan politics is.
Because a chief will say that if I am endorsing a party doesn't mean I'm involved in active politics. If I'm involved, I'll be on a campaign platform with that candidate to sell his or her message. So we should get a clear distinction between the two, active and endorsement.
Selom, I'll come to you on this matter. This Article 276 that talks about, banning chiefs from active partisan politics. Let's look at the rationale and its in practice currently. Would you call it, over the years, has it been abused? And is what we are seeing something that suggests that it's about time we take a look at this law and possibly review it to ensure? Yes, are the calls for its review justified? That's the question.
Well, thanks, Duke. I think I'll come to that. But Article 276 says that a chief, 2761, says a chief shall not take part in active party politics, and any chief wishing to do so and seeking election to Parliament shall abdicate his tool or skin. And the framers of the Constitution were very careful about the choice of words. So the chief shall not take part, not in politics, not in active politics, but in active party politics. And any chief wishing to do so and seeking election to Parliament shall abdicate his tool or skin. Article 55(2) also says every citizen of Ghana of voting age has a right to join a political party of his or her choice. So now we are confronted with a situation where the Constitution in one breath gives a right to a person to be able to join any political party of the person's choice. And in another breath, the Constitution, if you like, cautioning or warning that certain people cannot engage in what it calls active party politics. So what happens, I'm no Supreme Court, and so maybe Supreme Court will have to interpret this to bring clarity to all of us. I need to make that point. But when you look at the provision carefully, and as it is in constitutional interpretation, etc., when you are interpreting a part of the constitutional provision, you look at the words and you first seek to use the ordinary meanings or the dictionary meanings of those words. Beyond that, you can go ahead and look at memoranda, draft documents, conversations people had when they were discussing that particular provision. And that is expected to give you some understanding and grounding into what the framers of the Constitution or of the law meant. So this matter about active party politics, engage the minds of the drafters of the Constitution. So indeed, the Legal Drafting Committee of the Consultative Assembly of the 1992 Constitution considered this. And they described or they defined active party politics to mean, 1, being a member of a political party. 2, standing for election to any office to which a person may be elected as a representative of a political party. 3, holding office in or forming a political party. Now here this D, or 3 or 4. Speaking in public or publishing anything in writing to the public for or against any political party or the candidate of a political party in any election.
What has happened this week? Can that not be captured under that?
Exactly the point I'm making. So I'm just building my point. 5, contributing in cash or in kind towards the funds of a political party or conducting oneself in public in a manner likely to suggest identification with or opposition to a political party. I go back to the provision itself again. A chief shall not take part in active party politics, and any chief wishing to do so and seeking election to Parliament shall abdicate his stool or scheme. I've heard people of the law talk about the fact that, you know, until you are seeking election to parliament and the conduct that comes with it, if you are engaged in that, you are not, unless you are engaged in that, you are not engaged in party politics, or you are not engaged in active party politics. I beg to differ. So that is what I think. So all those things you've been seeing these days, majority of them, in my view, constitute engaging in active party politics. Because, I mean, it's clear that once you publish or you make comments which go to support or go against a particular candidate of a party, the law, or you are deemed to be engaging in active party politics. All right. So, even though there's a legal debate around this, I think this is what settles. Maybe the Supreme Court will have to be clear on it. No matter where you stand on this, whether it is legally wrong or right, it is not just a legal issue, it is a moral issue. Okay. And I guess that is the reason why the framers of the Constitution saw it appropriate to, if you like, bar chiefs or traditional leaders or rulers from engaging in what they call active party politics. People may engage in, so it may be lawful or not, but let's even assume that it's lawful. I mean, Paul the Apostle says that all things are lawful, but not things are beneficial. All things are lawful, but not all things edify. So it may be lawful for you to engage in party politics if you belong to the other school of thought, which I don't subscribe to. But is it beneficial? Is it beneficial to the generality of the people you represent? That is a question that our chiefs must ask. So why do people do that? I think they do so for a number of reasons. One, they do so they can be in the good books of politicians. Number two, I think they do so in their view to draw development to their area, so that when that party or that candidate becomes the leader or the president or the MP or whatever, they will look at their area, you know, seriously, because they will feel that the people in the area led by their chief endorse them, and for that reason they won. Sometimes I think it's just out of sheer exuberance from some chiefs. You may call it immaturity, pardon my language, or just a way of expressing their interest or bias towards a certain candidate. Other reasons could include the fact that some of them really want to prove a point, whatever point, I'm not sure. Others may have problem with acceptance, and others may do so because they feel that they do not get the recognition they need. They feel sometimes bigger than the way people see them or people, you know, describe them. So all these, in my view, constitute or contribute to this kind of attitude. Are they beneficial? I don't really think so. It is bedeviled with a number of risks. If you are a chief and you do that, one of the things that will happen is that you erode the confidence of the people with opposing views in your jurisdiction or in your chiefdom. And no chief wants to rule over a divided people for the sake of politics. There's so much problems in our chieftaincy institution already, rival chiefs, etc. And so we don't want to add a situation where a particular section of the chiefdom will see the chief as belonging to this political party, and so they belong to the other side, so they can do what they want.
Has this not become an issue because the real power of mobilization, which the chiefs used to have or traditional authorities used to have previously, they don't have it now? So most of them have to do this to be able to attract some kind of, for want of a better word, patronage for development for their areas. Would that position not be justified if a chief thinks in that manner to be able to attract the needed resources and development for his area?
There are many chiefs who don't do that. They command respect and they get what they want done for them. To the contrary, chiefs who do these things in the end are not really the beneficiary of any big time development.
Really?
Earlier in the week, I was listening or watching a video of the Asante Hene, and I was commenting on that to you, that the way he speaks or the way he spoke, I mean, it made him, he spoke in a manner that would generally command a lot of respect. And he spoke like, or he speaks like a father. So here's a case, he will not do that because he's telling people not to do that. He will not do that. But imagine Asante calls the president and tells him that I want you to try and do A, B, C, D in my area, even on the phone. in the privacy in the phone discussion, the president will rush to do it. Of course, the Asante Hene is big, but we have.
We should also look at the kingdoms.
No, we have other chiefs who will wield their own levels of influence. If a chief wants to get something done and you are respected in your community, they are MPs. Maybe you know somebody who is close to the president. There's now a minister for chieftaincy and religious affairs. There are many, many ways of getting these things done than standing in public and openly endorsing a candidate. What happened in 2016 in an area in Accra, I won't mention the name, now I'll mention the chief's name. The chief said if the sitting president then did not win, he was going to abdicate his stool. What happened? The president did not win, or the candidate did not win. Did he abdicate? He didn't. What happened to him? Many people in his community may not take his words seriously again. What will happen if the other party you were supporting the other one against comes? How would that person see you? And how would that person see you when you make certain comments about the governance style of that party? Chiefs are very important. And for all the divisions we have in our society, the last thing we will want is for chiefs to be involved in this divisive politics. It's the same reason why I was vehemently opposed to the election of MMDCs on partisan lines, because my view is that the way our partisan politics is going, if we don't take care, it's even happening now, that you will have to show party colors, not overtly, in many cases, before you are given certain opportunities. You being a Ghanaian no more appears to be enough. And if we don't take care and we allow this thing to fester in our traditional rulership system, we will be doomed. That is why I think that we must make sure that the chiefs stop that. But it's unfortunate that it's happening on both sides. Normally, if it's happening on one side, the other side will call the other person out. But it's happening on both sides, so nobody's really seeing anything wrong with it. But I think as citizens and people who think we have independent minds, we must begin calling them out. We must begin pointing them to the law, that it is wrong. If you are interested in doing politics, the law is clear. You must abdicate. And maybe nobody is taking the matter up. So we've not made an example of anybody who has engaged in this open political support for one party. And so there's no obvious consequences yet. But I think that it's about time we tested the law and we got clarity on what really the law says. If in its present state it doesn't even appear, that's if it doesn't appear clear. But in my view, the law is clear. You shall not take part in active party politics. And any chief wishing to do so and seeking election to parliament shall abdicate his stool. And I've gone through what the framers of the Constitution thought about active party politics when they were writing it. So I think what is happening now is unfortunate. It is good that Asante Hene has made a call. I think it's important that all the chiefs who want to be respected and all the chiefs who want to be taken seriously listen to him, follow his example, and I think they will be good. You don't need to openly support a party to have development in your town. That's wrong.
Well, Duke, I agree largely with Salom, but then there are some portions chiefs are regarded as development agents in one way or the other. So the best way to get development in their areas is to be in the good books of the politician or whoever control the resources, so they can bring these developments to the area. So if a chief publicly endorses a candidate, or the president goes there and says, Mr. President, you are doing a good job, we think, this, and then ask the challenges they face in that community, and the president listens, and then the next day or 2 days after, we see development in the area. But it's the appeal made by the chief on a political space or in a political space that brought about this particular development that people are seeking. So even though, fine, the Constitution bars them, I feel for them to publicly endorse a candidate because they are doing so for development in their area. Because every chief or every traditional ruler wants development is in his area. He made an example of the Asante not doing that. Asante will not do that because we also need to look at the kingdoms and the chief. These chiefs also represent. Asante is big. Even without government support, the Asante Kingdom can stand and develop. What about the smaller? Including
the construction of roads that we've always talked about.
Of course.
But Asante doesn't construct roads.
He doesn't. But so the people within the kingdom
We'll construct the routes.
Yes, can't do that.
No.
But what? Oh, so all development is not about government.
No, but we've not seen
they are community-based
From
development.
the practice, we've not seen that.
They are
we've not seen
community-based development
we've not seen
aside government development.
People coming together to construct long kilometers of asphalt road. We've never seen
The
that.
fact that we've not seen doesn't mean it can't be done.
The point is about lobbying.
It's about lobbying. It's about lobbying and getting development in your area.
But you see, I think that you don't have to openly endorse a candidate. The point I'm making is you don't have to openly endorse a candidate to lobby. You don't lobby on a political platform or at a deba. That's not where to lobby. There are many other ways you can do it. I'm not sure by our culture a chief will stand in public and openly castigate a candidate.
But
that will not happen.
The practice that usually when these political presidential aspirants, mostly or even sometimes even parliamentary candidates, when they go to these traditional leaders, they give them the opportunity to tell them about what their concerns are.
And some of their challenges they go through.
And what their challenges are.
No, you see, don't get me wrong.
This is where sometimes these issues come up.
The chiefs are our big people. Mm-hmm. If young people or ordinary people will be swayed by the political platform or the platform where they are speaking to a lot of people, our chiefs and we call them traditional leaders should not fall for the bait or fall for that temptation.
Okay.
You, as a chief, you can tell somebody that, okay, you've done A, B, C, and D for us. This is what is left for us. They can commend the person in a way that will not necessarily be you endorsing him. That's saying that you are winning again and shouting slogans, etc., to the extent that you put your stool on the line and say that if this, in fact, you are so sure he'll win that if he doesn't win, you will abdicate your stool. Okay. We don't have to get there.
We'll take a break here. When I come back, we'll have, just wrapping up comments on this issue, and we'll move on to the other issues up for discussion. The number to send your messages to is 055-058-5832. That's via the WhatsApp line. You can send other messages to CityTV GH, and then also on Twitter, the hashtag is what the papers are saying. We'll take a break here.
It is Christmas.
What do you want for Christmas? A new car, a vacation, or expand your business? Make your wish and have it come true in the 100 days of Christmas with a Republic Bank Christmas loan. The Republic Christmas loan is quick, easy, and so affordable with super fast turnaround time. Come into any of our branches nationwide. Call or WhatsApp 055-654-3212 or apply online via republicghana.com. Remember, wear your nose mask, stay safe. Republic Bank, we are the one for you.
Election 2020, Ghana makes a choice. Tracking and bringing you reports of the presidential and parliamentary campaigns across the length and breadth of this nation.
Analyzing campaign activities and election data with our panelists on the Voters Diary.
The Voters Diary is the most factual, instructive, and balanced election 2020 analysis program on television.
The Voters Diary, every weekday on City TV from 3 p.m. to 4 p.m.
Stay informed on all the relevant issues on election 2020. Tune into the Voters Diary, it's Ghana's choice.
Welcome back to What the Papers Are Saying. I still have in studio Selom Adonu, head of features and articles here, City FM and City TV, and Samiri Afe, presidential correspondent, City FM and City TV. We're still discussing the endorsement of some presidential aspirants by chiefs and traditional authorities in this country. So Samuel was making the point about the rationale behind some chiefs making some of these calls in a bid to attract developmental projects to their area, which obviously Selom disagrees with.
You can, some of these chiefs, the only time they see the presidential candidate or the president is during electionary season. Because I remember in 2016, when I followed the then candidate Akufo-Addo to some places, there was a place in the western north side where the chief publicly said that this was the first time a presidential candidate had visited the village or the town. It's never happened before. So for them, they only get opportunity to see these people who are gunning to be presidents of the republic only during election period. And so right after election and the person gets opportunity to win, they don't hear from the people or the whoever won the election. They don't hear from them again. I've been at the Jubilee House where chiefs travel very far away from their localities just to come and meet the president. And when they come there, some of the issues they put before him, we in Accra would think, oh, but these are no issues. But for them, it's a big issue. So the only time they can see these presidents or these presidential candidates in their area is when they are campaigning. And when they are campaigning, this is what I want for my people. And my people are supporting you. So if we give you our support, that is what we demand from you if by the grace of God you get to be president. So if they publicly come out and tell which candidate ever that we are supporting you, we endorse you, but then after the endorsement, this is what we want you to do for us. This is what the people of this area want. I don't see any problem with it because you're not on a campaign platform. It's normally a gathering of chiefs and people, a deba of chiefs and people where these pronouncements are made. And they are made only once, just during the campaign season. Aside that, they don't make these comments again. So if they are done only once in 4 years, which we have it now, it's not an active involvement in politics. It's an endorsement. That doesn't mean they are involved in the politics of it. So we should look at this thing very well, very critically. I think so.
Still stand. It's legally unjustified.
I can't justify it. But if you want to justify it even legally, to say that, to dispute the way the framers of the Constitution defined active party politics, in other documents. If you even want to go by, if you don't want to even go by that, on the moral side, it is not correct. We've had problems in our country just because of division along partisan lines, and we cannot allow the systematic corroding of our institutions as a result of politics to eat into our chieftaincy institution. It's already eating, but the fact that it's happening now and it's bad doesn't mean we should let it continue or it should fester. We'll be digging ourselves into the abyss. The chiefs play a very crucial role. Why is it that after every election, after every closely fought election, we hear certain key chiefs coming out to say that they had meetings with their candidates late into the night because they felt peace should prevail? Why that? Do you think if one chief or those chiefs are openly endorse one of the candidates and they happen to be in that meeting, or a number of the chiefs happen to be in that meeting with open bias or open endorsement of the other candidate, and now you are urging on me to concede to that candidate, you think it will be an easy thing to do? It will not be easy. And I'm saying that we are building a country. You don't have to endorse me for you to catch my eye to bring development to your area. Indeed, if you are genuine and you tell me when I'm wrong, you tell me when I'm doing something right, without endorsing me, it will even make me respect you more. When you talk to me, I'll take it. What even happens? We see politicians in election times going to give money and V8s, etc. to chiefs. For what? That is what we don't want. And when it happens, we criticize it because it is strange to us. The English monarchical system is quite different. So it may not be a good example to cite. But there's a reason why the crown of the UK, the king or the queen, does not engage in controversial discussions or issues. So matters surrounding LGBT, you will never hear the queen talk about those. Matters which are controversial, they do not talk about those things. So they do charity, they do just the things which people generally agree with, like people with things which are normal. There's a reason for that. So imagine the Queen engages in a controversial issue, pronounces on a matter that is so controversial, that divides the country. What will become of that? Because there are many people with other views, and I don't want a chief that we so respect to be subject to the ridicule of party apparatchiks or party foot soldiers. Our system is said that once you get on that road, people can tell you anything because you have spoken against their candidate. It's not right, and we cannot allow our country to go that way. The fact that they are doing it and nothing is happening to them doesn't make it right. Right is right, and wrong is wrong. That must be clear. That certainly must be clear.
Agree?
Agree. But the chiefs also vote. They have votes.
No problem.
You also remember that they also have votes. We should remember that.
No, but everybody has votes. So the police chief.
It's about maintaining your
nobody's 100%
your hallowed status as a traditional ruler, and then also balancing that with having the clout to be able to attract the needed development to your area.
And already our chiefs are already tagged.
Interesting.
You see, it's just like even the police chief is appointed by the president. But once it's appointed, and the president will not appoint his enemy to a police chief. But once the person is appointed to that office, we expect a certain level of neutrality, a certain level of independence, a certain level of fairness, etc., from the police chief. That is why it was strange this week when we saw a police vehicle carrying party, supporters with flags, etc. And the police service knew it was wrong, so immediately they issued a statement saying that they were going to investigate it and the people involved punished. Why so? Do you say the police people have been tagged already, so they should go out and do anything?
So you're talking about
and the chiefs are even placed in a more hallowed position than the police.
Okay.
The chiefs should not do that.
All right. Let's take some messages that have come through on this matter. Calvin from Adenta says, "Great conversation. Please help us understand if the law makes provision for chiefs to call out or threaten ruling parties with lack of development in their communities during an election year." That's to you, Selom. I see this one says Asedun Ketie's behavior at the EC's office yesterday was distasteful, interrupting Bossman Asari's submissions after he made this point. In fact, NDC has sensed defeat coming, and they want to. Okay, so we would. This is the next issue we'll be discussing. So when we come after that issue, we would probably read this message. Kobe from Nkoko says, "I very much agree with the lawyer. The somewhat dirty nature of our politics would reflect badly if chiefs are mixed in the fray." Awini Samuel from Serious says, "I must say chiefs are to desist from engaging themselves in politics because it brings divisiveness among their subjects, less confidence of their people in them, and less respect." That's Awini Samuel from Yosu. So probably someone may have to test the law so that there will be some clarity.
I was sponsor someone to do that.
No, I have to test the law. You can also test the law. As a citizen of Ghana, you can go to court and test the law. You can also do that.
Then I'll hire your services.
No, as a citizen of Ghana,
I'll hire your
you
services.
don't need my services. You can go and argue yourself. It's done. Private people go to the court to make their points.
This week is so to the next issue now, which even before we got to the one of our viewers sent in a message on that matter, which has got to do with the filing of nominations. Now, the president filed earlier in the week, and the main comment that was captured by many of the news portals got to do with the fact that he made a comment that as president he would not superintend over crooked elections. And yesterday when the NDC filed their nomination, Johnson Asedun Ketia, General Secretary of the party, had cause to speak about challenges in the electoral process. Today, we've had the Ghana Freedom Party file. We've had other parties as well. We've been told not to call them smaller parties, maybe minor parties as well. So let's look at some of the issues that stand out for you from the filing of nominations over the past 3 days. It's begun on Monday. Sami.
Duke, is it not interesting how the EC becomes your friend when you are in government, and it becomes your enemy when you are in opposition. I know very well in 2012, when the MPP was in opposition, the formation of the group called Let My Vote Count Alliance, the demonstrations against the EC here and there. Now the MPP is in power, and the NDC is also following the same footsteps that the MPP, did in 2012 against the EC. The EC has done this, the EC has done that. Don't trust the EC to conduct a free and fair election. The accusation has always been that the EC is not well prepared for this election. Yesterday, when you listened to Yasin Nketia, when he was submitting the forms for candidate John Mahama, he made an interesting point that the people who endorsed the forms of candidate John Dramani Mahama are not even sure whether they will have their names in the register, because already they've had some challenges with regards to some names not showing up in the register, even though these people were there to partake in the registration exercise. So for them, they are not even sure that the people who endorsed these forms for candidates Mahama will have their names in the register. If it happens, so what happens? Does it mean the candidature of Mahama will be withdrawn, or they have to re-register these people, call them back to come and sign the form of Mr. Mahama? So it's a two-way affair. The president, when he also filed, said that indeed he will not wish to be president-elect with a flawed register. So the EC should do everything within their power to ensure that this election is credible, free and fair. On a number of occasions, he has said that indeed he will want to supervise a free and fair election and a peaceful country as he came to meet it. So now the pressure is on the Electoral Commission to do what is right. We understand that by tomorrow the filing process will end, and some political parties are yet to even do their filing. I understand that the PNC is yet to file, because we were told that it was only yesterday that they appointed a running mate to partner Apasara, who is the flag bearer of the party. And if that is not done by tomorrow, who knows, the party may be disqualified, or he may be disqualified from running as an election. This process has been fast-tracked, for want of a better word. In time past, we saw these things were done in either August or September, but this time we are doing it in October. COVID can be attributed to be the cause of all this. So I feel that the EC is under pressure to get everything right. I heard the Director of Elections, Mr. Kwekwe, say that in November or somewhere, the register will be given out to the political parties to do what they are supposed to do. So I feel the EC is under pressure. We all need to support the EC, come up with a credible election, because if it's done well, it's a credit to all of us in this country. If it goes bad, you know the implication of this.
So, on this issue?
Well, I think it's a good process. Of course, it is one of the things to get to December 7, and the Electoral Commission has a calendar. And indeed, they published a calendar earlier in the year. All these things would have traveled a bit further had it not been for COVID. So I think they're trying their best in the circumstances to get all these things sorted. I think they must be commended for a number of things. The fact that they are encouraging, indeed, not encouraging. This time you have to download the forms from the internet, which makes things easier, I guess. And I understand they were given a provisional register on a CD, and that makes it easy, the soft copy of it. So you can key in somebody. If I want to check your name, I can just enter your name or maybe your voter ID, and all your details will come.
The process has been digitized.
Yes, so I think that is an improvement, and that is what we really expect. But has the EC been perfect? No, the EC hasn't been perfect. Okay. One of the issues I've had with the EC is that, given the circumstances that heralded their coming into office, I expected them to be a bit more, consultative or consulting making use of the IPAC forum even more than before. But it appeared when they came to office, there was a lot of suspicion. And I don't blame them too much because it appeared the circumstances surrounding their coming into office had poisoned the environment they were to work in. So there's a lot of mistrust, there's a lot of suspicion between the new people and the old people who are working there. And those things in a highly competitive, partisan system can be very hurting to the process. So I think they've suffered from that, and largely they haven't managed that well. So on a number of occasions, you've seen them directly engaging or bantering with leaders of political parties, which should not be, because those things send a certain perception. And in matters like this, perception is everything. So yes, the president saying he doesn't intend to be president of a flawed, he doesn't want to be the president produced from a flawed election. That is fantastic. I mean, sending the right signals, that is good. But the EC by this time, I'm sure, are getting to know that at this time of the year or of our electoral cycle, the integrity of the country and the peace of the country largely depends on their actions. Yeah. They may not do wrong things, but the perception of wrongdoing could cost this country. And I'm sure that by now they should be getting that signal. Okay, so we'll take another break here. We'll come back and read your messages and look at the final issue.
On the 7th of December, you will be going to the polls to elect a member of parliament. How well do you know your constituency?
We take a visit to the Awutu Senya East constituency of the Central region. We are coming to you from the Inshayaso constituency in the Ashanti region. I'm still in the Aswanse constituency.
Political parties will be campaigning for your vote.
We have done almost about 80 to 90 different projects across the country.
There is no single school under any electoral area that has not seen the development of Honorable Muntaka.
But as a constituent, what will inform your choice of a candidate to represent you in Parliament?
My party is my community. What program are you bringing in to solve the problem of my community?
Be involved in what concerns you. My name is Freme Dunyame. Join me on the constituency for all you need to know concerning your socio-economic development. The constituency airs on City TV Mondays to Thursdays.
City TV is live on DSTV. Go to channel 363. On GoTV, access City TV on channel 182. On a digital TV, please press the menu button on the remote control and run a new search on your TV. Take note that without an antenna, you cannot access City TV on your television. City TV can be accessed on a free-to-air digital box like the GoTV and Star Times box. City TV, it's your world.
Welcome back. This is what the papers are saying on City TV. Let's bring in some of your comments before we move on to our last issue up for discussion. This one from Dr. Jerry Esiedu from watching from Canada says, it's like the Constitution only says a chief should step away from this throne or from his throne or should abdicate if he wants to stand or contest for an elected position. It didn't clearly state what should happen when they just pass comments. This one, quite lengthy, but we would say, Eben Sly from Aflao says, in reality, the chiefs represent our society or community, which is made up of different colors of political parties. And so when a chief is seen supporting a particular political party, then it's calling for division in his kingdom. The last issue up for discussion, the Japa Royalties project, as the Finance Ministry calls it now, is a matter that has been discussed quite thoroughly from August up until now. The special prosecutor, in a series of letters, has indicated that it's conducting a corruption risk assessment to find out if indeed there is an element of corruption in the agreement or not. This week, government or the finance ministry says it will hold on to the initial public offer until the corruption risk assessment is done. Good step for the special prosecutor?
Oh yes, because there have been a series of allegations of corruption in this whole deal, led by the minority, who have waged a serious campaign against this whole Ejapa deal since it was brought to Parliament to be passed. So the establishment of the office of the special prosecutor was to look at issues of corruption, allegations of corruption, and then investigate and come up with this report. So they're going ahead or he going ahead with this decision to, investigate this matter, and before anything other else, I think it's a step in the right direction, because remember he wrote to Parliament demanding some documents, wrote to the finance ministry also demanding for some documents before this whole investigation, and this is what has pushed the government to put this whole IPO on hold till investigation is concluded. But then the question many people will ask is, for how long is this investigation going to take? So if it's going to be two months, 3, a year, or which number of, or a period this is going to take, does it mean this whole Ejapa deal is going to be on hold till the investigation is done? You also know that we are about entering into an election. So what happens if the government, which is pushing this deal, is unable to retain the seats? What happens to this whole Ejapa thing? Do we have to throw it away, or we should also look at all these
all the possibilities regarding that? Tell them we have.
Yeah, surely. I think it's a great thing. We've always said institutions must work, and I'm particularly happy because it doesn't appear anybody prodded the special prosecutor to do this. It appears, at least to me, that he's doing it on his own, which is great. Like Sami said, I don't know how long it's going to take for him to do that investigation, and I hope by now he's been furnished with all the information or all the documents on the deal that he asked for to help him come to a good determination. And so, yes, I'm looking forward to that. So when he passes it, largely, well, people who had issues with it should maybe not go to sleep, but trust in the integrity of that office. The other point is, how about when it comes out to say that because of ABC, he thinks there is the potential of corruption in the deal? What then will be the position of government? But that is just hypothetical. That is not here now. I think a lot of the difficulty with the Ejapa whole arrangement is purely because of the timing of the arrangement. This is an election year. And why would you want to list in the last month, or in the month of election, when you're going for election? What happens if the people do not return you? So how about you wait, and then maybe in January or February, if the people are happy with your work and the people give you 4 more years, then you can go ahead and do that. That is giving that the special prosecutor and all these bodies pass you. Indeed, the civil society organizations have made their positions clear, and civil society organizations are one of those groupings that people tend to trust a lot, because they feel that for a lot of them, they are doing it in the national interest, though it may not be the case every time. But usually, people tend to trust the thinking of civil society organizations because they feel they have the capacity to independently investigate things and then come up with views which are more beneficial to the nation. And indeed, it's because that we have grown to mistrust politicians. So when politicians are doing something, though it may be good, we kind of think that there is something in there for them. And this particular deal is not helped in that sense because of some of the names around. But I'm so looking forward to seeing what the special prosecutor will say about it. But it's certainly a great thing that he has stepped in to look at it. And let's all wait and see what happens.
So that's
and I think government must be commended also for suspending it, awaiting the special prosecutor's determination on the matter.
All right, so this last message from Mike Kabonu from Medina says, the position of the law from my point of view suggests that the chiefs have to be neutral, mute and distant from their personal partisan positions and also the popular partisan positions of the people in their jurisdictions. That's how we draw down the curtain on this edition of What the Papers Are Saying. My name is Duke Mento Pokwad in studio, Seloma Adonu, head of features and articles, CTFM, CTV, and Sami Wiafe, presidential correspondent, CTTV and CTFM. And to you out there for watching the program, keep watching CTTV for the best of programming.